Hey, what's up, Canada and beyond? Welcome back. It is Monday, September 16th. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, grannies and gators. You saw something a little bit new there right at the beginning. Hey, well, as this platform and channel and reach develops, uh, it's kind of, I guess, become necessary for me to take an evolution on this platform and for the first time, we are displaying a public disclaimer towards viewers, and for in case anybody missed it or couldn't see it on their 4x2s, I'm going to read it out there because honestly, it's necessary at this point for my own sanity and ability to manage what I do here. So just to go through this for everybody real quick before we get into what is another, speed trip through the swamp, looking at all different situations. I'm going to ask a bunch of times, do you guys think that this is treason? So if you're new here, folks, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're not following me, you should be. Make sure you hit the thumb and the heart button as well. We tackle subjects here that nobody else seems the guts to do or gives a shit about, but that's kind of what the little air environment that we live in here. So this disclaimer is now becoming necessary, and it says viewer discretion is advised. Well, what's up, Canada? Be advised that not all of the contributors to the content on this show as independent journalists. Some may be expressing their opinions, research, positions, or testimony as well. Many will or may have their own platforms. Any appearance on this program is not an automatic endorsement of any guest or opinions they may express or that you may be exposed to on this program. I want people to think. So no guests, contributors, are employees of What's Up Canada. The views, opinions, and reporting presented by any person appearing on this platform do not necessarily reflect the opinions, policies, or positions of the host or the platform. This platform and its host are absolved of any contributors who exercise their right to speak on this platform. What's Up Canada will not be held liable for any person or representation of their work appearing here, nor any opinion, expression, reporting of facts, inaccuracies, misrepresentation, or legal issues that may arise from any guest's content or contributor to our program. I have no choice. I have spent a greater portion of the last couple of weeks defending myself for giving voice to ideas, concepts, thoughts that others don't approve of. And particularly from the political spectrum. And I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. I owe no allegiance to no man. I am here for the people to find the truth the best that I can. I learn. This has been a long-standing platform, more than 5 years. My opinions have changed, evolved, and grown, and I have shared them along with the disclaimer that I am an expert of nothing. And this is why I bring other people, many of them controversial, some of them I don't even like, but I bring them to this platform to create stimulating thought that is useful in the public square and to exercise this right while we still can. And that's becoming ever more clear that that's going to be a problem real soon. So now we're going to start getting into the meat and potatoes of things, guys. As always, I encourage you to get subscribed over at whatsupcanada.substack.com because that is where the day after I do a show like this, you're never going to know what's coming. Hell, I don't even know what's coming most of the times on this show until it's showtime because it's it's ludicrous out there. So whatever I do use in a show comes out published in the Substack, full charge. You know, everything that I use, documents, sometimes it's documents, it's graphics, sometimes it's just news articles, whatever it is that people might be interested in further. I make sure that on the Substack. As always, it is free. None of the content that I produce is behind a paywall. If you can't remember for a URL, just go to whatsupcanada.org. You can watch the shows there as well. 2 clicks, just hit the play, and you don't have to give up any information. Everything is free. You can subscribe to the Substack there. You can also reach some of our parts. So from here now, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of things, and I'm going to start with a little minute and 40 render from Ursula von der Leyen on what the biggest threats on the planet are as of 24.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear Klaus, let me go back to the non-concern of the Global Risk Report. Disinformation and misinformation. Tackling this has been our focus since the very beginning of my mandate. With our Digital Services Act, we defined the responsibility of large internet platforms on the content they promote and propagate. A responsible to children and vulnerable targeted by hate speech, but also a responsibility to our societies as a whole. Because the boundary between online and offline is getting thinner and thinner. And the values we cherish offline should also be protected online. And this is even important in this new era of generative AI. Now, the World Economic Forum Global Risk Report puts artificial intelligence as one of the top potential risks for the next decade. First of all, let's not forget that AI is also a very significant opportunity if used in a responsible way.
So a reminder to set the tone for everybody on what the 2 biggest existential threats to the world are. This program particularly being among them. I wanted to drop a quick shout out to Retina J. I see you in the chat there. Just to let you know, I did get your email, digging into it. We'll see what I can do over the next period of time. This is a one-man operation here, though, but I'll see what I can do and get back to you. But thank you for the message. That's what we have there for. He would have gotten through to me at contact@whatsupcanada.org. So thank you for the thread or the bone to chew on that one. Thank you, Retina J. But yeah, so now back to Ursula von der Leyen and the WEF, Fourth Reich, and their statement at the beginning of the year that the 2 existential threats to the New World Order. This just kind of added to the tail end there about over the next 10 years, they can use AI to maintain the narrative. It's pretty crazy how this once bastion of freedom, the United States of America, that used to stand for freedom of speech, in Canada that used to stand for freedom of expression, now stand for only the intolerance of freedom of expression or freedom of speech. So we're going to cover a whole lot of stories today in Cole's Notes fashion, of course, guys. As always, a couple of short videos along the way, and I really want to know, we've covered the absolute definition of everything from freedom, political meddling to treason. I mean, we've looked at all of these things as they're happening real time in our country, and it just keeps stacking up. There is just more and more events. compliments explosion of diversity and population. And this is a post just a couple of days old from the National that speaks to the 6 Canadian terror plots police have foiled since October 7th. The increasing violence and foiled terror plots have raised alarm about the country potentially becoming a focal point for extremist activities. No it, Sherlock. And this is, when we just heard about, truth and trust and was their priority, as well as silencing us. How can anybody not hear the term AI or mainstream or legacy news, and not have an actual, pinch of cold hair standing on the back of your neck reaction to it? The gaslighting goes hand with the programming, and these guys are all part and parcel to what I'm going to leave it up to you guys. So with all of those acts of terrorism recently having been exposed here in Canada, do you think, as Canadians, that our security has been violated, and if this has been done intentionally, that would fall under treason? I'm curious. I'm sure others are as well. Wouldn't you like to know? Do you think that's treason if these people are willingly, knowingly letting dangerous people into our to the extreme? Next up on deck, Catherine McKenna, Climate Barbie. I'm going to respond for just a little bit, but this is just a reminder that Catherine McKenna, Canada's Minister of Infrastructure and Commodities, has been marred by a deeply troubling scandal involving the mismanagement of billions of dollars. Scandal not only highlights egregious lapses in accountability and transparency alone, this is to the tune of $95 billion. And her response was nothing short of Nazi rhetoric, where she stated, when you have your talking points down pat, repeat them often enough and loud enough, and they become the truth, is basically how the Liberal Party of Canada and her skated with stealing $95 billion and counting of Canadian taxpayer dollars. Do you think that is treason, my friends, ladies and gentlemen? Next up, the inquiry as to whether they should release the names of the 11 compromised by foreign interest individuals. Not really stating who's compromised these 11 individual parameters of these compromised individuals actually are. So they created an inquiry and got this commissioner or this appointed to this, and she released her verdict today. And Hogue tells the Foreign Interference Commission, I will not be publicly identifying parliamentarians who may be suspected of having participated in foreign interference activities or of having acted or unwittingly as agents of a foreign state. I'm going to play this 2 minutes. Just everybody hears the words from the horse's mouth and lets me know, and we're going to add a few more while people are deciding, is this treason or not? Let's listen to what this justice has to say.
Will be publicly identifying parliamentarians who may seek up suspect of having participated in foreign interference activities or of having acted wittingly or unwittingly as agents of the state. Canada is a state governed by the rule of law, which recognizes and protects the rights of every individual,
supposed to,
including the right to fully defend oneself against charges and accusations.
unless it's mischief.
Fairness entrenches a similar principle, as does the Mercenaries Act, which expressly prohibits the Commission from making an adverse finding against the person. In other words, a conclusion that will bring discredit on that person or tarnish his or her reputation, unless that person has been given notice and allowed full opportunity to be heard.
Really? Like the Coots boys, right?
Against him or her. In the present case, the allegation is based on classified information, which means
like the
that
Coots boys
can neither make them public, nor even disclose them to the persons who might be the subject of these allegations. The Commission will therefore be incapable of affording these people a meaningful opportunity to defend themselves. That said, the Commission intends to address these allegations in the classified version of its final report and make recommendations. As required by its terms of reference, the Commission will carry out its duties in such a way as not to jeopardize any other investigation or proceeding, whether ongoing or forthcoming.
So basically, nope, their right to privacy trumps the public's right to knowing because it's classified. Kind of like the same process that they used to keep the Coots boys in prison. It's classified. It protects them, so it's classified. Now, here's my reason for not wanting to let go of this is because we cannot ever accept the abuse of the judiciary. Like the comment said, I'm not sure what's going on with my mic, guys. I'll settings here in a second. A lot of thought. But these guys, the insanity cannot continue. But somebody also did ask, where did this lady come from? Where did they find these clowns? And this was an important one to add to the context of the story. Here she is using the justice system to protect traitors. By any definition, we can't know by what definition these guys are being confirmed as traitors. We just know that they are, and she's protecting them, and just so happens to be a partner at the law firm that was home to Trudeau and Chrétien that is closing down, and apparently rebranded, opened again in Vancouver. With firms in Calgary and Toronto lawyers. So keeping it in the lifter the boys in the communist sports car, and somebody went after Mr. Polyev on this, and now this is again going to be one of those reasons for my disclaimer earlier. I don't give two shits about Polyev. I'm only going to bring up his name because he's a part of the conversation. And this is the part that the PPC, some PPC members can't understand. The instant I say something negative of the air, they say, oh, well, go Max. Yeah, no, go pound sand. This is, do not bring anything into that because I don't endorse not one of these meat muppets, but that's a whole bunch of different conversations. For this one right now, Mr. Pierre, I have to defend him in this case. This liberal, Ken Hardy, is he's a liberal member of Parliament with Port Kells, says that Mr. Polyev has refused to get the security clearance he needs to see the sensitive info on foreign interference. Might he find the chapters on Russia and India too personally upsetting? Time for the Inquirer to open those pages. Like he's implying that the Conservative Party has some criminal involvement that they too want to cup by not by Pierre not reading this, when the reality is, and this is a comment from Karen DK Creative One. As you know, Pierre Poilievre already has the necessary security clearances as required by Parliament to do his job. What you Liberals want is for him to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. Correct. They want to silence him before he's allowed to see it, when he already has the due process to know who these treasonous individuals are. So he refused so he could act as opposition leader and to not be silenced by the NDA. Dirty Liberals want to muddy everyone else up like they are. And that's exactly what we are here to do. This is collusion at the highest levels between the government, the judiciary, and I shouldn't say the government. I should say the Liberal Party of government, and the judiciary, to keep the people from knowing who these traitors are. And my number one. Right, and this is back to what slipped my mind there earlier. Why is this such a beef for me? Because these 11 compromised individuals, it's critical for us to know what exactly and how were they compromised? What makes them guilty of being compromised? Because that same lens needs to be applied to the other 238 or 338. Yeah, they're 327 at this point, but they all needs to be held to the same lens of foreign interference. That's the point. So we cannot let this go until not only these 11 are revealed, but also until the other 227 have the same lens of criminality applied to them. Only then can we actually start to potentially bring any measure of trust into the process of politicking again. Until then, anybody that takes part in it is an accomplice to the crime. That's the only way that can be left to interpret this. So this is an Instagram story I'm going to try and play for everybody. One minute long. It's about a book. Of course, about a book, right? I'll try this again, see what happens.
Yeah, you read that right. This book here, nominated for a Prime Minister's Choice Awards.
Prime Minister's Choice.
Children's Book of the Year Award. When it says guide, it's not kidding.
I'm not going to read these words. I'll add the link. You guys can read this for yourself. This is a book up for nomination for the Prime Minister's Choice Award. And it is beyond expression how infuriating. I can't understand how it's not by done of the letter of the law, except for interpretation. It's the alphabet soup interpretation that somehow supersedes the law. And we're supposed to just swallow
this is the author
perversion.
Here, Miss Yumi Steins, Groomy Steins, if you will. It's been quoted as saying it should be okay with an 8-year-old reading this book. Once again, we see the top-down effort to sexualize children. Too young for social media, none for a pornographic sex guide. It's got it.
Yeah. And this is a fellow named Nick Freehouse, which has appropriate response to why it's going to take more than wishful thinking to stop it.
K through 12 education. How do we win that back?
You lead it.
And I know for a lot of people are looking at going, well, wait a second. No, we got to fight for it. Like, okay, well, then let me explain to you what fighting for it in its current manifestation looks like. You're a parent. You're upset what's happening at your kid's high school because you just found out that they've got books in there depicting pornographic images. And I'm not talking about literature that tells a spicy story. No, I'm saying you open up and there's the pictures. The paper and members of the school board all say that you're crazy and this isn't going on and this is ridiculous. And then you show up with the actual book saying, no, kids. They turn around and they look at you and they ask, why are you being so divisive? Why do you hate what you don't understand? Why can't you just be more accepting? They called you a liar to start with. And then when you proved that you were telling the truth, they didn't apologize for calling you a liar. They didn't apologize for their own stated ignorance that it wasn't there. No, they started attacking you. Yeah. Why is that? Why is that? As much as people will say, well, nobody wants that, and nobody wants that in the library. Yes, they do.
K through 12 education system. How do you win that back?
Sorry, guys. But yeah, they do. They want that in the system. So this is why they flip the dime and go to directly accusing you when dismissing you didn't work. You prove that this monstrous stuff is in there, and then they refuse to admit the truth. They attack you. What's wrong with you for objecting to your child and your children exposed to pornographic DIY how-to manuals, literally at the age of 8. This is grooming, and those other words. See, I'm so close to being permanently removed from social media platforms. Express myself with vernacular that is accurate and appropriate because somebody doesn't agree and it might offend their sensibilities, right? So this post from Concerned Canadian, who's a traffic driver for conservative values, I'll say that, posted a post and had to repost this as a point to ponder today. Do you believe that the government is an existential threat to our once iconic and globally respected democracy? So now, political parties aside, can Canadians agree on that simple fact that our government, do you feel like you're under attack from our own government? And what this is in the political spectrum, I'm finding it very to remain optimistic, because look at the process, the narrative, the structure, how it's built, how it's working, what it's going to do. You can predict it, and it's really just another syndicate turf war fighting over who gets to drive the bus off the cliff, us locked in the trunk, and half of us locked in the trunk are cheering for one of the guys driving the bus off the cliff. I don't know what to do about it. So next up, more other question, is it treason? The headline of the day, treason much, Canada? I think we found a few things to cover tonight so far. And CSIS also says they knew about Chinese foreign interference, and so did Trudeau. So this is an article, the counter signal. I will add the links into there as well. This is not new to any that have been fighting in this or authentic media space. We've been covering this ad nauseum, but we are just last 2 years, 6 months, picking up speed. People are just getting up to date on things that we take for granted, that we know, and we think that everybody else knows, and it's not always the case. It's it's some discouraging, honestly, when I get 100 messages in my inbox in a day, and 60 of them are people that are excited about some kind of news story, or somebody covered something that I covered weeks ago or a month ago, and it's like I just sit there and I go, you obviously not my shows. Right? It's not conspiracy theory. It's conspiracy for Prime Minister's office has been compromised going back, they allege, to Mulroney. I allege going to Trudeau Sr. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. They knew, and they did shit anyways. So this is, you don't blame people for being as pessimistic as I am that there might actually be some relief in this system. Now, this is a little bit more to all of that, and a nice little segue into the next story. This is from government of .exec. Government corrupt, I'll just call him. Christopher Freeland spent $2 billion taxpayer funds to buy shares in a company that doesn't exist, and another $95 billion went missing under Catherine McKenna. Hundreds of millions more went to Quebec vaccine plant that was shut down. And then there's a S&C for charity fraud and Arrive scam fraud. Now the Liberals are handing over another $2 billion to invest in satellites that will likely never be launched into space. This is why Trudeau has no interest in stepping down. He's trying to embezzle his way towards billionaire status. I can't agree with the last part, embezzling his way to billionaire status as every good loyal clone trooper along the way, like Catherine Barbie McKenna and talking tater tot Christopher Freeland, but this $2 billion, what is that to be about? Canadians should know, right? They should have some questions. Another $2 billion announced to help a Quebec company, of course, build a broadband satellite network that will connect more remote communities to the internet. Interesting. It'll never get built, but interesting. $2 billion, another brand new idea to scam money, right? Right? Well, Table Salt nailed it when they said, the government of Canada is trying to compete with Elon Musk's Starlink. What are the chances this ends in a bailout or a write-off? Gee, would you think that would match the pattern in the system? Well, this kicked off something very because this was not lost on many people in Canada and in fact worldwide, where Michael, if you don't know Michael Barrett, he is one of Canada's relentless people chasing after some of the corruption. I respect his work. I'm not saying 100% of the people in there are guilty. Their hands are tied, but I mean, based on humanity, I think there's still some that are putting up a good fight. Michael Barrett tends to be one of them sometimes on what of he posed a question directly to Elon Musk. How much would it cost to provide Starlink to every Canadian household that doesn't have high speed? If this 2.14 billion plan is a panacea of expanding access, competition, and service, where's the interest from private investors and banks? Well, I have to say, less than half that amount, right? So this is an interesting, and under each one of these posts, it goes into so much other things and more details. And Telesat is another liberal project company that allows them to grift money into buddies and yada yada yada. Just more of the collusion, corruption in the deep state swamp. Interesting that this is so for half the price you could provide the same service, and this is hypothetical all of this, but what the interesting parts to me was almost immediately after that, we even had comments from Daniel Bull. If you don't know Daniel, he was the former RCMP sniper that refused to take part in the reindeer games anymore. But he says, if we're going to pay an American company to provide high-speed internet, why don't we take Musk up on his offer for half price? Probably no kickback, because Telesat, the company that's getting it, is 86% American. So they were going after this, discussion. How dare you ask an American foreign billionaire? Well, Musk is actually Canadian. So this is interesting how it's Trudeau's responsibility to identify Canadians if they're terrorists, but if they're billionaires that could disrupt his strategy, well, then they're horrible monsters, right? So, and again, I see these people here attacking Musk. I don't care. That's not a point of the story here right now, and you're missing it. You're getting lost in hate recruiting or rage recruiting, and I don't care about it. It doesn't matter. It's just more of the same pattern of trying to get people to dislike this, that, or the other thing, that you can't even have a conversation in the meantime. So hate baiting and hate recruiting not going to work here. So it's just more of the double standards at large. But there's more to this story about what would happen. Canadians had full access to Starlink versus Trudeau's solutions, and this is why.
In the dog days of summer, when governments traditionally and the CBC puts out news that they don't want you to hear, they get the really good stuff. Jay Goldberg is from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. He joins me in a minute. But before that, please donate, because CBC, we don't get paid big money. I don't get paid.
We don't get paid any money.
Please get paid. So please keep us on the air. Jay, welcome to the show. Well, just lay it out for us. I mean, it sounds like the CBC, a losing corporation as far as people listening, are rewarding all those executives who are screwing up.
Yeah, we know that less than 3% of Canadians watch their show.
Less than 3%.
Last month that they give out $18 million worth of bonuses to executives, and as you said before, over $70,000 on average to some of these fancy executives.
Your money.
What we don't know definitely is the head of the CBC, Catherine. She's paid about $500,000 a year. She is entitled to about $125,000 worth of bonuses a contract. We don't know exactly what her number is yet. We want to know.
And unlimited travel, I understand as well. She has a lot of travel.
Lives in New York.
But listen, if you're an executive and you can't make shows or anything that people want, why would you get a bonus even of $7,000, much less $75,000? I look, I go, wow, maybe people don't earn $75,000.
Well, that's exactly it. You've got taxpayers who are struggling, who barely earn $70,000, some of them less, to find out that they're paying the bonuses of these folks who are running the CBC, which largely people are not watching. We know the viewership numbers are not good. We're spending $1.4 billion on the CBC every year. The Trudeau government keeps increasing the amount of money they're giving to their friends at the CBC. And yes, it's people who are struggling paycheck to paycheck that are paying for these fat cats to have berries and big bonuses to produce things that Canadians just don't want to watch. And that's certainly not giving us value for money. It's time for the CBC to go.
Well,
so they're literally stealing your money to pump out this garbage and try to say that it is the prime minister's choice, and give themselves fat, juicy raises and bonuses and perks and free travel, all because they get away with stealing from you.
Or, I mean, there's been
lots of
discussion about it, and say, well, it should really cut back or just change its mandate. But no matter what happens to it, it's got to be put on a fiscal basis. Possible.
Well, I think there's a fair question to say, though, how do you trust journalists that are fully paid by the government? You also have these media bailouts where a lot of organizations, you have journalists with half of their salary that's actually paid for by taxpayers. You have one major political party saying we're going to scrap all this. You have the current government saying we're going to keep it. How do you trust the independence of those journalists who know in the back of their minds that their potential jobs and pay on the line? How do you trust that neutrality? I just don't think you can have confidence in journalism when taxpayers are paying for part of the bill, and when certain political parties are, we're going to scrap that if we get into power.
Well, I think you make a very, very good argument. I do want to point out though that there are a few journalists that you read about who are saying, screw you, I'm going to be fair and open and honest. But they are very, very, very few and far between, aren't they?
They're few and far between. But the new media is really rising. People are open and trusting a lot more their sources, and I think that's just going to continue.
100%.
This one. Thank you very much. To those of
so So yeah, I that was a relevant, a good minute and a clip for people to understand what happens if Elon gets the supply internet services to all of Canada, and people have a choice. Then Elon doesn't well when meat muppets like Trudeau say turn it off. Elon kind of says no, right? So yeah, some interesting things to for that, and it would not allow them level of censorship. So now the giant elephant in every internet space today, we're going to get over to attempt number 2 of trying to use up Donald Trump's 9 live. Apparently, I'm going to start with this little clip here. I'm sure everybody has heard about this Ryan Roth, and what happened in Mar-a-Lago yesterday. There is all kinds of craziness going on with this guy, and we're going to look at a little bit of that craziness, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff that we don't know, and some of the stuff that we absolutely do know. And somebody, look forward to you guys thinking if there's any treason involved in this story either as developing. Now this I pulled up Marty's article here because this is another one from Concerns, but it was immediately reader checked, which is basically people getting the opportunity to say, I fact check you and don't believe that this is an accurate statement. So check is basically saying that he did not have a BlackRock commercial. It's a video from a rally in Kiev in support of Azov battalion released in 2020. Which is worse? Azov are the Nazis. So at this point, that's really trying to protect him. I don't know what's going on with the audio today, guys. I genuinely do not know. Let's see if I can. No, everything. Okay. Flipped a couple switches. Let me know if it changes anything, gets anything better, or if it gets worse. But at this point, Mr. Psychopath is either between BlackRock or being a Nazi. He's definitely and not of sound mind and body. It'll take about 30 seconds for you to change or get better or worse. If it does, it's crackling now. Gee. It could be I got flagged. It wouldn't be the first time I've been definitely been getting myself into more and more trouble lately with yeah, I'll keep playing flipping switches. This is part of being a one-man show. Have to improvise and overcome. Well, it's a good thing we're almost done. I won't take too much longer of your time, but another 10 or 15 minutes or so. I just know what it could be. There's nothing that I've changed from yesterday to today. Definitely telling too much truth. They do like it difficult. They like to make it so annoying that give up and stop watching. Right? I'll do a total reboot and a reset for tomorrow's show. So thanks for bearing with me and suffering through. I did notice some internet glitches earlier today, like they were shorting the availability, cutting back. So this guy donated to Act Blue 2019-2020. His son said his father hated Trump like any normal person would. This is a book for $2.99, sold in Daily Mail, and by the Daily Mail, called it was Impossible War or something like that. He said that you are as well as me for that error in judgment and the dismantling deal. Thought I'd read backwards for a change. He must take part in the blame, speaking of himself, retarded child. We elect next president that ended up being brainless. But I am man enough to say, Ms. Judge, has made a terrible, and I apologize. Said in a book. This guy was interviewed by the New York Times, CNN, NBC. He spoke in front of the Senate lobbying for money for Ukraine. He was in Kiev lobbying money for Ukraine. Those are things we do know. Don't know is apparently they were saying that he had served in Foreign Legion, and Ukraine is backing off on their denying it. So in stuff, crazy points there. But here's Mr. Jones saying that he is CIA records. So this is from Aussie Cossack, but it gets better. Mr. T's assassin Ryan Roth is connected to Ukraine's Azov. But look at this at 149 of this video from 2022. So I'm going to play this whole video because I have watched it. Walter Mega, something's going on with my gear here tonight. I don't know what it is. Almost done. I'm do a reset on everything tomorrow. Maybe the video will be better. Prop pieces. This wannabe assassin.
Слава Україні! Я вдячний кожному, хто ходить на акції в Україні і в світі. Всім, хто розуміє, наскільки критичною є ситуація в Маріуполі. Всім, хто кричить про Маріуполь. Кожен день на Азовсталі це нові поранені, яких немає можливості ховати. Увага всього світу та до Маріуполя та до Азовсталі. Але цього недостатньо. Потрібно зробити задор для евакуації нашим пораненим. Потрібно негайно надати їм кваліфіковану медичну допомогу. Повірте, ці хлопці заслуговують на евакуацію. Дайте нам також вивезти наших загиблих побратимів. Ми закликаємо весь цивілізований світ долучитися до гарантій безпеки та евакуації наших, які зробили неможливе та продовжують захищати Батьківщину, яка повинна зробити все, щоб ці герої змогли живими повернути своїх рідних. Іншої можливості врятувати життя людей на Азовсталі може і не буде. Слава Україні!
Ми, які зараз знаходяться в місті, звертаємося до нашого президента. Володимира Олександровича, будь ласка, зверніться офіційно представників ООН, несіть списки наших поранених, гарнізон та загиблих воїнів. Всі родини та вся Україна вас просить це зробити.
I'm Azov, I'm Mariupol, I'm Ukraine. Sorry, it's really hard, but the action appeal to both leaders.
There he is. True story. There he is. Another videos with him with his hair half dyed yellow and blue. It's just absolutely ludicrous. This guy here, it makes no sense that a Ukrainian sycophant would be to go after Trump. This is totally an inside job. No ifs, ands, buts, or maybes about it. I'm going to try this one minute clip from Benny.
Assassin. How's a guy who has 100 arrests on his record able to buy a firearm and vote in the Democratic primaries in a state
100.
He voted North Carolina Democrat primaries in 2024, and yet he lives in Hawaii. How's a guy who lives in Hawaii able to Washington, D.C., Florida, and Ukraine, fighting for the Ukraine Foreign Legion when he had a... Who's funding all this? How's a guy who has a weapons of mass destruction arrest on his record?
A weapons of mass destruction arrest on his record. 100 charges on his record. How does this guy get to do anything, let alone the Senate and propaganda videos and recruitment agencies for the Ukrainian military? Like this is just This is definitely people messing around with the American people.
Able to buy an AK-47 in the first place? How are they able to get that AK-47 into golf course? How's the Secret Service able to send this fence line protected by Bush? How he was supposed to be that day when Donald Trump's visit was off the record? Why is this guy in BlackRock and promo ads for the Ukraine war? Are we allowed to ask these questions?
Were you allowed to ask these questions? That was why, is there involved in there at all? So this is another quick post. We're getting down to the end here from government corrupt. Yesterday's a failed attempt on Mr. T. It was an inside job or unhinged bar trying to protect democracy. This is what the Canadian paparazzi had to say.
Attempt on Donald. The former president was not harmed golfing near his Florida home when a Secret Service agent fired at a man spotted a rifle in the bushes.
Police vehicles surround the Trump International Course after shots were fired near Donald Trump just PM Sunday in what the FBI is calling another apparent assassination attempt.
What they do is they have an agent that jumps one hole at a time to where the president is.
All right, I was afraid of that one, guys. Is very low volume on this one. I wasn't sure if you guys would be able to hear it because I guess I'm having issues than I thought. Maybe this one would be better. This is kind of a bit of a one I wanted to play
You're
out.
chasing the Gucci bags, and the next day you're on to Chicken's Gardens. And you think you're gonna have a home birth today, and then you might override the Amish slip because you need fresh milk, and then you just go down this rabbit hole, and everything isn't real, and everything's a conspiracy, and then you realize that this is a crazy world we live in, and everything's toxic and poison, but you're the happiest you've ever been because you're finding validation in your home, and everything's great. Life is good.
I cannot emphasize enough many women in our comment section that I know personally who resonate with that message. And you realize the older you get, there's only a few things in life that really matter: your faith, your family, your own health, and your diet. And that's about it. Those are like the keys to happiness. Lock those in, and those clock years create the core of a happy life, and everything else poison. Rejoiceful homemaking is the account.
So yeah, a bit of a feel-good story to throw in there. A couple of last clips. Tom Marazzo, every MP in Canada who supports the very stupid idea of going to war with Russia had better be the first ones in the battle with their kids before they dare us to risk our lives and the lives of our children. This is in regards to Canada getting involved in offering permission for Zelensky to use long-range missiles into Ukraine. 100% against this stupidest thing Trudeau has ever done, and he is writing checks on your grandbabies, and stupidest thing he could ever have done. So this is a poll that I could not help myself frustrated with, but a lot of people are agreeing with me on this. Chris Erickson asks, if a federal election were held today in Canada, who would you vote for? And I just could not help myself but ask, who cares? Max Pierre, a stump could win every seat and not a thing would ever change with the WEF Senate. Now, this is what we have to comprehend, because if people run out of diplomatic room to navigate or negotiate, ultimately, when you see the deck stacked in the corruption of the judiciary with nobody paying attention at all, this is the breeding ground for revolution, and that mortifies me. This was on. So I'm not going to play this. I'm just going to put it for just a second. What I was going to share with you guys here. I'm going to add the link into the show notes anyway. At 26:45 mark, you can find out why the crackdown on the censorship, why attack on Musk for suggesting Starlink accessibility in Canada. The military and industrial complex is in a desperate situation right now. attempt to Trump. They need to crack down on the narrative and the discussion if they intend to maintain control of the New World Order. So Mr. Anthony Blinken is working in lockstep with some other people internationally, of course, yes, but this is what is not working so well, where we're seeing the world turn against the bullies, and India says no, we're not buying in your silencing. We will let our people decide what they listen to. So India right now, better job of standing up for free speech than America. Who'd ever thunk it? And I'll pull up this little statement just because some of you might be able to read this. Georgia is bringing in, the country of Georgia is bringing in Nuremberg trials for people that tried to overthrow Georgia and pull a Ukraine off. So interesting story there, folks. Yeah, we're getting into AFO season. Last story is going to ask this one here. Is she guilty of treason? Sheldon asked that. We went through that earlier. But this is how many Canadians know the depths of the treason within Bill C-293? If you don't, you should. When you do, take 30 seconds to send the Senate a message with this draft. Make the draft your own. You don't have to use the exact wording, but take part often in this. And I'll make sure the link for this is in the subs. Tomorrow, you guys are going to be hearing a lot about Bill C-293. I believe there's a protest tomorrow. There's no video here now, little farmer. This is just me talking. If you can't hear me, it's probably okay. I'm getting out of here anyway. Just happy to survive another Monday. So yeah, take part in the resistance. Find one thing to resist on. Bill C-293 is it's got all the evil wrapped up in it, so it should be easy for us to get together in stand against this one. So on that note, I love you guys all. Stay my friends and patriots and warriors. Hit the like and subscribe. I apologize for the noise today. Find me on substack.com. Send me an email if you've got something great. I will get back to you on a couple of the other stories that have come in. Maybe we've got some juicy stuff. Support your independent journalists, the ones that you trust that are fighting the hardest for you. If this is that platform, that is the best way to head out. The best session of Bill C-293, I have to go with Lisa. She's actually qualified to speak to the law, having 24 years of activism and law experience. So that's why I bring in those kinds of people. Like them or not, they're here to tell the truth. I'm not here to judge what people feel. And I've been feeling a little bit of lust for doing exactly that. And yeah, some bigger, greater changes, some more cooperation, find some shit to work on. We don't agree on everything, but find something that we can agree on. So I love you all. Stay mighty, my friends, family, patriots, prisoners, hostages, however you identify under the corrupt and treasonous system. Just keep fighting. They're getting more and more desperate by the day. So I'm sure more shit shows and shenanigans tomorrow. Love you all. See you.